The Brooklyn Nets literally threw every kitchen sink that they could find at the local Home Depot at Joel Embiid, and we still won. They got the refs to eject James Harden, and we still won. Literally, the Nets, this is not even a series, but it's still frustrating as hell. Matt Patricia, an Eagles coach now, Phillies Shut-Out last night, all that and more. Trending in the AM starts in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM, right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow on all social media platforms. If you want to get interactive with the show, head to the Facebook or YouTube page for Philadelphia Sports Network. It's the best place to drop your questions, comments, thoughts, concerns as we talk mostly Sixers Game 3. We'll try to sprinkle in some Phillies and Eagles conversation as well. I'm your host, Phil Stifle, always, every morning here at this show. You can find me on Twitter at Bearded Knowledge. Make sure you shoot me a follow. Be interactive with you all the time there. Guys, we got a lot. I don't know. We got a lot to talk about here today on this show. I mean, the Sixers win last night. Yes, woohoo, great. The Sixers beat the Nets last night in Game 3, 102-97. But there is so much to digest from that win. So much to digest from that win. I mean, we've got the Joel Embiid situation that we're going to get into. We got the James Harden ejection that we got to get into. We got Tyrese, pay him max contract, maxi money. I mean, there's so much to delve into this game last night. But I mean, the big picture part of the conversation really just sums up in one thing. And that's just the simple fact that the Brooklyn Nets are nowhere near as good as the Philadelphia 76ers. Not at all. Not even close. Not even remote. The Brooklyn Nets literally stood and stand no chance against this team. I said that going into Game 3. I mean it. Game 4, Saturday, 1 o'clock. Just wrap the series up now. It's done. It's over with. They got nothing. And I'm okay saying that. I'm confident in saying that this series, it's a ball game. Literally last night, again, just like Game 2, the Brooklyn Nets literally pushing, banging, knocking, kicking, shoving, hard fouling, whatever you want to say, every time they're anywhere near Joel Embiid. And they've taken him out of his game. They've taken him out of his rhythm. They've frustrated him. They're exhausting him. They're doing all that. But, man, the refs let that shit go. They just let it go. I mean, and then you've got the James Harden situation we'll get into in a second where you barely tap a guy and you're ejecting the guy. Like, legitly, the one side, I'm not one that likes to blame referees. I don't. I actually very rarely ever blame a referee for anything. It's just part of the game. Reffing is what it is. But, I mean, you can't not look at last night's game and think something's up. And not at least be frustrated. I mean, I was just looking on Twitter before the show. I was going through highlights, and there's a foul called on PJ Tucker where one of the Nets, I forget which one it was, did like a spin move in the lane. And I mean, PJ Tucker barely breathed on the guy. Foul on PJ Tucker. But yet James Harden can just brush shoulders when he's trying to create a little space, and he gets ejected. Now, I mean, you got the James Harden ejection and the Joel Embiid, what should have been an ejection. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, the James Harden ejection was a makeup ejection because Joel should have been ejected earlier in the game. I am in a mood today. I am. Because last night was pathetic. First and foremost, let's start at the beginning with the Joel Embiid situation. First and foremost, I have two really big things to say on the Joel Embiid not ejection. A lot of people were coming at me on Twitter or coming in my comments on Twitter saying, and even people that, I was at work when it happened still, watching the game, at that part of the game, And I had one of my delivery drivers was like, yeah, he should have kicked him because you don't step over a guy, like that after that kind of a play. That's a little bullshit, that response right there. Joel Embiid is the MVP of the NBA, the best player on the Philadelphia 76ers. There have been questions about his maturity and his rough play before. Joel Embiid, I have complimented 100,000 times this year, being a more mature player, not being the troll Joel Embiid or whatnot. Joel Embiid has to be smarter there and not kick Claxton in that situation. He should have been ejected. I would not be surprised if he's suspended for game 4. And he should have been. It's beside the point whether Claxton was wrong for stepping over Joel Embiid. This is not street ball. You're not playing on the courts down in the middle of the city. This is the NBA playoffs, round 1. And you're going to kick a guy because you're frustrated? I get you're frustrated. But you're Joel freaking Embiid. You have to be better. Now, I know after the game, he said he knows it was a mistake. He knows he was wrong for doing it and whatnot. That he knows it. Well, he didn't say he knows he was wrong. He said he knows they're trying to bait him into something. And the only way the Nets have a chance at winning any games in the series is by baiting the players, getting them ejected, getting them in foul trouble, whatnot. But you still don't do that if you're Joel Embiid. You have to be better. He was acting immature last night. Deserves to be. And I'm going to criticize him. He has to be smarter. There is zero doubt in my mind that Joel Embiid was wrong for that moment. It's an unpopular opinion. But Joel Embiid was wrong for stepping over or for kicking Claxton after the step over. Claxton, I expect immaturity. And Claxton got suspended or kicked out of the game later for taunting Embiid again. That's immaturity on Claxton. I get that. I mean, he's not Joel freaking Embiid. I've praised him for his maturity this year, Joel Embiid. Praised him. And you're gonna act like that in a game, in an important game, where you're trying to get this series over in 4, so you have time to rest and recover for the Boston Celtics, which after what I saw last night on the court, actual basketball play, the Sixers stand no chance against Boston. It's a shame, but they stand no chance. If they can get rattled by the Brooklyn Nets, imagine what a well-coached team with a deep, talented roster is going to do to the Sixers team. You need to show more maturity. And Joel Embiid did not do it. He didn't. It's damn frustrating. It's a shame. But I blame the refs for not ejecting him in that moment. The refs should have. I mean, if you're listening to the local broadcast, I don't know what the national broadcast was like, but Ala and Kate, even you can hear it in Ala's voice, like, I expect Joel to get ejected for this. I don't think I've ever seen an instant in the NBA where you kick a player in the groin region. It hit his leg, but he was going for the groin. And you don't get ejected. And you look at what happened with Draymond Green and Domantas Sabonis in their game a couple days ago. Draymond Green was suspended last night. He did not play last night's game because of that situation. So fully expect Joel Embiid to be suspended for at least game 4. And you know what? I think it's rightfully so, and it wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I would expect that kind of a situation from Draymond Green, not from Joel Embiid. I mean, Joel Embiid's done things like that before. He has. But he's supposed to be different now. He's supposed to be a better person now, a better player now, a more mature player now. And you're going to go out and put your team in a situation where they're at risk. Was it 3 minutes into the game? It wasn't even like it was like late in the fourth quarter in the front. Like the game had just started and you were already frustrated enough by the Brooklyn Nets to kick a guy while you're laying on your back. I mean, you got to be better, Joel Embiid. But on the flip side of the equation, James Harden getting ejected for what that happened late in the third quarter. And everybody saying, well, it's a makeup ejection because they felt bad that they didn't eject Joel Embiid. That is the lowest crock of shit I've ever heard. It happens in all sports, whether it's refs or umpires, that if they miss one call, you see it in baseball all the time. An umpire makes a bad strike call because it's way out of the zone. He calls it a strike. The next pitch is right down the middle. He calls it a ball. It's a makeup call. It's bullshit then. You miss a call. You miss a travel on one side, so you call a Palman violation. Bullshit. You don't make it. If you screw up, admit you screwed up, but you don't continue to sway the game just to balance it out in the end. Not ejecting one player, so ejecting another player later on a ticky-tack. It wouldn't even have been a ticky-tack eject. It was a ticky-tack foul. If they even just called a common foul, it was a load of BS. That's how bad of it was. I mean, James Harden even said after the game, he didn't even know what he got called for a foul for. Like, I mean, it wasn't even really a foul. I mean, he was literally being draped all over. And all he did was lift his arm up a little bit to create just a little separation. The defender could have been called for a foul just because of the way he was crowding him. And yet you're going to eject James Harden there? What, to make up for not ejecting Joel Embiid in the first quarter? You knew it was going to be hard for them to eject Joel Embiid 3 minutes into a game. He should have been. He wasn't. But then you're going to flip onto the other side and eject James Harden for that? A load of horse crap. Like, I question Joel Embiid's maturity. Like, as I'm watching that foul, that Joel Embiid non-ejection happen, I'm sitting there, I'm just questioning his maturity again. And that's all I'm doing instead of paying attention to the game. And thoughts are running through my head. Like, I thought we were past this part of Joel Embiid. And I get it. The Brooklyn Nets have been pushing and shoving and knocking him down and triple teaming him and hitting his wrist and hitting his shoulder and banging into his back and finding ways to knock him down. I get all that. I do. He's frustrated. Literally, entering game one, you saw a burst, a jump. He was healthy. The rest from a week off, from the end of this, actually like 10 days off from the end of the season to the start of the playoffs. He was good. And then literally by the end of game one and all of game two and now game three, he looks like he just played a 300-game season in 200 days. He's beat up. He's tired. He's hurting. He's limping. Knee, ankle, back, everything is hurting on him. But he's still got to be smarter about it. Look, you know that nobody can stop Joel Embiid unless they take those shots. So he's got to be more mature. I mean, I actually question, Sean, I appreciate you bringing this up. He looked really good at the start of game one after, 10 days off? But he's really been, you see it with his hands like this. He always puts, when he's tired or physically not okay, if you pay close attention, when he runs up the court without the ball, he's got his right hand always tucked up against his chest. It's like he's trying to hold his hands up. He does not look physically okay. And he's been banged up all year. He's always going to be banged up. But the emotion just wasn't there. Like, I think that he might be hurting a little bit from the banging and the physical play from Brooklyn. But I might have said on Twitter, I might have just said it to somebody else in passing by. Like, I would not be surprised when this season ends that it comes out that, because the narrative is always Joel Embiid's always injured. So he doesn't want that narrative. You know what I mean? So maybe there is something that's bothering him that he could play through to an extent that he doesn't want anybody in the media finding out. It's kind of like when the James Harden Achilles thing just popped up out of nowhere. It's like they were trying to hide that. Like, I would not be surprised if a report came out that he's got an ankle sprain that he's playing through, a sprained knee that he's playing through, or some kind of a back spasm that he's playing. I don't know what it is. I would not be surprised if after the season that comes up, because I was thinking the same exact thing last night. I was thinking the same thing in game two as well, that something just physically is off. And when something physically is off with Joel Embiid, his whole body language changes, emotion changes, and stuff like that. They are beating him up, Mark. They do it all year long. Every team to stand a chance to beat the Sixers, unless Boston doesn't beat them up. Boston, Milwaukee, the elite teams know how to beat the Sixers. But all the other teams, the only way to beat the Sixers is beat up Joel Embiid. They're also beating up James Harden to an extent, guys. I mean, we could talk all this trash about, how they're physically manhandling Joel and no foul calls on Brooklyn, whatnot. They're doing the same thing to James Harden. James Harden multiple times last night drove to the rim and just got smothered by hands to the wrists, hands to the chest, hands all over, body checks, and nothing called. I was sarcastically thinking that this is just the NBA again, not wanting the Sixers, not wanting to prove or justify the process accurately. They'll do whatever they can. I thought, like, if they got past the first round, I was thinking in my head of a joke and somehow trying to phrase it in a tweet that, the league's going to force the Sixers to fire, Daryl Morey before round two and put Brian Colangelo back in charge just for round two of the playoffs, just because they don't want the Sixers winning. But they are. beating the hell out of Joel Embiid. They are beating the hell out of James Harden. And it's frustrating because it's not. I would rather watch, and I know this sounds pathetic and weird, I'd rather watch a great, entertaining basketball game where things are going even. The refs, I don't want to know the ref's name. Call fouls, don't call fouls, whatever. A consistently called game between two great teams, even if the Sixers are the one on the losing end, versus watching the slop fest that I watched last night with all the controversy, even though the Sixers won last night, all the controversy, everything else, that slop that went into last night's game was not an enjoyable basketball game to watch on either side. Like, they weren't playing basketball. They were playing rough touch football out there. And it was not enjoyable to watch at all. Like if I'm the NBA, I've got to see what's like. I know that people joke, and I just joke that the NBA doesn't want the Sixers to win, whatever. I don't know if that's true or not, whatever. We can get into that another day. But if I'm the NBA, I don't want to uphold the integrity of the league and the integrity of these playoffs. I'm talking to those refs today. Saturday, 1 o'clock, the next game, they better be better. And if they're not, and if the same stuff happens in game 4, then those refs got to know that they're off the playoff rotation. They're done. They're not going to get another one next year either, because it was pathetic the way they played. And look, there are bad calls on the Sixers. Like, it goes both ways. Let me look at this box score. I'm just curious. I don't even know this answer here. Sixers were called for 17 fouls yesterday. Brooklyn 13. 4 foul difference isn't that big, but it's just the quality of fouls and when they're called. Tyrese Maxey had 4 fouls yesterday. Tyrese Maxey doesn't make 4 fouls in a game. He doesn't do that. He barely touches guys on defense. He's an offensive guy. He's not a defensive-minded guard. So saying he got 4 fouls kind of tells you something right there. Look, not making it about the refs. I'm making it about the Sixers. Joel Embiid has to be smarter. And do not be surprised if he is suspended for game 4. I just don't know how the only way that they don't suspend him for game 4 is if it's exactly what I just talked about. A makeup. They shouldn't have ejected James Harden, so we won't suspend Joel Embiid. That would be a lousy thing to do too, in my opinion. Like, you just don't do that. You don't. You don't make up for one mistake by making another mistake. Drives me freaking insane. Like, completely insane. But I will give credit to this team. They did win last night. All this surrounding, the Joel Embiid situation, the James Harden situation, the referees, all of it. And guess what? They still won 102-97 against the Brooklyn Nets. Why did we win? How did we win? Outside of all these controversies, James Harden, up to the point in the third quarter when he was ejected, was the best player on the court. One of my keys to victory yesterday, I said, was that James Harden needed to shoot a higher percentage than he did in game 2. What was he, like 2 of 13 in game 2? Well, guess what? He was 8 of 15 last night. 3 of 7 for deep. Actually got to the free throw line. Had 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He did not have a steal. Now, this is something here. Side note here. Side note. I want DraftKings or the NBA to pay my same game parlay out. I had a 9-leg parlay on last night's game, plus 2,000. The only thing missing, I had 1 James Harden steal. If he plays 10 more minutes, like he would if he wouldn't have gotten ejected, I might hit that parlay. I need somebody to pay me that money. A game 4 suspension for Joel might be a blessing. Dude, we can beat Brooklyn without Joel Embiid tomorrow on Saturday. We can. I don't disagree. Plus, if he is banged up, it gives him an extra couple days of rest. Embiid won the game with the block. We're going to get into Tyrese Maxey here in a second. I was going to say James Harden first, then I was going to dive into pay him Max Money Maxey. That's but I'm going to come up with some nickname right there. Max Money Maxey. Also Mountain. His last dunk when he was at the bottom of my screen, he drove to the right. That last dunk he made was a huge moment. That was a huge defensive lapse from Brooklyn because Brooklyn's not talented. They're a good team. They've got a bunch of role players and Mikal Bridges, who is becoming a star. They're well coached. They're playing with nothing to lose. When you're playing with nothing to lose, you're dangerous. And they were dangerous because they're beating and bruising our guys up. So back to Sean's comment here, a game 4 suspension might be the best thing right now. We're not losing the series. We're not losing game 4. So just give Joel the night off. Now, as of this moment, Sean, I don't know if this sways you at all. Sports books, sports betting apps, they know more than we do. They're actually a bigger favorite in game 4 than they were in game 3. Game 3, they were 4.5 point favorites, depending on where you looked. They're a 6.5 point favorite for Saturday already. Joel Embiid suspended. You're not a 6.5 point favorite. Just a thought. Novigrad, Bridges, yeah. Like, it's funny. Like, Mark, I was looking forward to this Nets series for one thing, to get a 4 to 5 games straight of watching Mikal Bridges so I could spend all summer long bitching and moaning that he wasn't a Sixer on this show. But I haven't even focused on Mikal Bridges the last 2 games because all I'm looking at is the refs and Joel Embiid and James Harden and all these problems that are going on. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating. But anyway, like I said, James Harden had an excellent 3-quarter game, and he would have hit my parlay. Somebody pay me that money if he didn't get ejected there. But you want to bring up Tyrese Maxey, 10 points in 5 minutes to close out the game. Tyrese Maxey last night, 15 in the first half, nothing in the third quarter, then goes for another 10 at the end of the game in the fourth quarter. 25 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, and a steal. I'm just going to tell you, I'm just going to say it now. Tyrese Maxey is going to be due for a max contract at some point. If I'm the Sixers, I am Billy. He's 22 years old. He is one of the best young players in the NBA. I'm giving him the max deal. I'll feel better about giving him a max deal than Tobias Harris's max deal that he's getting right now. Man, Maxey is the future of the Sixers organization, the future of this city. He's going to be one on billboards with that smile. Not Joel Embiid in 2-3 years. I mean, just think about it. Most NBA players hit their prime, 25, 26, 27 years old? He is 22 years old right now. It's just amazing to see the ascension he has had since he was a 21st, 22nd pick in the draft. A guy that couldn't shoot in the NBA. Not only can he shoot, drive, he's confident. He has this energy about him he's got like that aura about him. That big play, not afraid of the big moments, Tyrese Maxey. He wants the ball in his hand. I know the ball goes to Joel and it goes to James Harden, but he wants the ball in the big moments. Tyrese Maxey is not afraid of anything. Tyrese Maxey knows he can get his shot off at any moment, whether it's a standing pop shot, popping one from 3, driving, pump fake, whatever it is. He does not have a shot in his arsenal that he isn't thinking that he's making it. It could be the most acrobatic, low percentage shot he thinks is going in every time. And that confidence, it's huge. It's huge. And Tyrese Maxey, if Tyrese Maxey isn't Tyrese Maxey, we lose that game last night. He saved that game last night for us. There's other guys that we can give credit to. And we'll get into Melton. And we're going to get into PJ Tucker in a minute as well. Even Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris didn't score 20 again last night. But Tobias Harris still had a solid game. 15 points, 7 rebounds, an assist. I'm surprised he didn't have any steals or blocks. He plays solid defense. Shot a good percentage. 2 for 4 from 3. 6 of 13 overall. Had some nice drives. Missed a couple of bunny layups on some pump fakes that he made the move and just didn't finish. We'll get into those guys a little bit more in a second. But the game Tyrese Maxey had last night, if you paid attention to it, because you might have missed some of it through all the fouls and all the Joel and James, situation. Tyrese Maxey, another moment on a big major stage coming up huge in that fourth quarter. Yes, Tobias Harris made shots when needed. He missed a couple bunnies earlier in the game, but that's Tobias. Everybody misses a bunny occasionally. PJ Tucker misses a lot of bunnies. But Harris has been, literally